Good morning, my name is Charity Muia and we welcome our viewers from Kenya and around the world. This is News Insight, where we give you in-depth analysis of breaking news, issues affecting us in the world of business and sports. But first, let's take a look at the major stories making headlines. Heavy rains in Nairobi, cholera outbreak hits Nairobi, a rising fuel prices, and a new dawn for Harambee Stars as they await the African Cup of Nations. On to our first story. Heavy waters flood Kenya's capital Nairobi and leaves pedestrians waking up to yet another nightmare with flood waters as a result of the heavy downpour pounding the region. Traffic has also hit several roads in the city, leaving the streets impassable. Our reporter Nicole Oketch gives us more details.
A heavy downpour on Tuesday evening caught many Nairobi residents off guard as it led to the formation of pools of water along major highways, with the first casualty being the flow of traffic during the morning rush hours, with vehicles getting stuck on the roads. While the entire central business district was underwater, some of the flood hotspots include Muia Avenue, Tom Mboya, Racecourse Road and Ronald Ngalo Street, among others. Nairobi residents were caught unawares with the heavy rains, and some had to remove their shoes as others parted with a few coins to get lifts from porters and pool carts. An occurrence that angered the majority of Kenyans, who took to Twitter to question whether or not the city's drainage system was ready to handle the rainy season. This as Governor Mike Sonko had previously persistently on social media posted photos of his team clogging drainages within the city. Oketch Nicole, News Insight, Nairobi.
Good morning to our viewers in Kenya and around the world. My name is Charlotte Idah, and this is the News Insight, where we give you an incisive look and in-depth analysis into health and sanitation issues in the confines of economics, sports, and health. The Nairobi County faces yet another cholera outbreak, where 14 patients with cholera symptoms have been admitted to different hospitals in Nairobi. As confirmed by Washington Makodingo, the Nairobi County Health Chief Officer, in 2017, more than 4,000 cases were reported across the county, where 70% were from Nairobi. Taking a look on this is our senior reporter, Idah Khavai.
Nairobi County faces yet another cholera outbreak. It is worth noting that nobody is more affected than the people living in the city's massive informal settlements. It is estimated that slums are home to about 2 of every 3 of Nairobi's 4 million inhabitants. Urban flooding has intensified because of the city's growth and outpaced improvements in infrastructure. In these settlements, open sewers overflow quickly, bringing flash floods with them. Harmful waste gets washed into the rivers that snake into the city, rivers from which some people draw water to wash clothes, prepare food, and irrigate their crops and livestock. Nairobi County health officials have requested referral hospitals within the city to reactivate their cholera treatment units after the confirmation of the cholera outbreak. Reporting for News Insights, my name is Idah Khavai. Good morning to our viewers in Kenya and across the world. My name is Idah Khavai, and this is News Insight, where we give you an incisive look and in-depth analysis into the world of business in the confines of health and sports. In business today, we review the ban of plastic bags in Kenya by the Ministry of Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, which took effect 2 years ago in August 2017. The aim of the ban was to stop environmental pollution and mark a start of better environmental plans in regards to plastic bags and plastic bottles, which form 80% of the total generated waste in the city. Despite the ban, plastic bags continue to be used in different parts of the country. Our reporter Charity Muia has more details.
Yes, Idah, just as you have mentioned, the plastic bag ban was put in place to help in curbing environmental pollution in the country, and according to statistics, 80% of the total generated waste in the world comes from plastic bags, and plastic bottles. And despite the ban, it seems like its implementation has not yet yielded fruit in most parts of the country. A report shows that plastic bags are still being used by fruit and vegetable vendors and most of the poor households. According to most of the fruit vendors, plastic bags are easy to use for products such as milk, cut vegetables and fruits, and they are pocket friendly. But with the goal of curbing environmental pollution in the country, the main question to be answered is why plastic bags are still being used in the country 2 years down the line after the ban. According to many citizens, there has been laxity among NEMA officials in implementing the ban and ensuring that plastic bags are not manufactured in the country or imported into the country. Reporting for News Insight, I am Charity Muia.
Good morning to our viewers in Kenya and around the world. My name is Nicole Oketch and this is News Insight, where we give you an incisive look and in-depth analysis into the business sector in the confines of economics, sports and health. Our focus today on business is the ramped up fuel prices in Kenya. Last week, the World Bank gave the 2019 economic outlook for Kenya, projecting a 5.7 growth. Over the weekend, the Energy Regulatory Commission released the latest fuel prices that have seen prices of super petrol and diesel shoot up by more than 5 shillings per litre. Anita Gicobi takes a look at the net effect of the upward fuel price adjustment on the economy.
An increase in fuel prices is said to percolate into other sectors of the economy, and this is largely on account of increased transport costs that are usually passed on to the consumers. This is because, for instance, the prices of production in the factories goes up, and this has a direct effect on consumer goods in the supermarket shelves. Therefore, this causes the consumer to have to dig deeper into their pockets, and this causes a strain on their budget. Reporting for News Insight, my name is Anita Gicobi. Good morning to our viewers in Kenya and around the world. My name is Anita Gicobi and this is News Insight, where we give you an incisive look and in-depth analysis into sports in the confines of health and business. Our major focus in sports today revolves around the Kenya women football team, Harambee Starlets. Harambee Starlets, the Kenya national women's team, was created in 1985, a time when almost no country in the world had a women's football team. They have gone through many ups and downs with disparate support from the Kenya Football Association compared to their male counterparts. Across the years, their participation and performance in competitions have been wanting. However, with the new Football Kenya Federation office taking over the running of the Kenyan game in 2016, the women's game in the country is finally taking a turn for the better. This is evident after the Starlets qualified for the African Women's Cup of Nations for the first time in history. Women's football in Kenya has gained popularity in the recent past and is currently among the top sports being considered for international matches due to their best performances. Our reporter Theresa Mwawanga filed this report.
The Starlets have been doing successive great jobs and have managed to be part of major football tournaments. The Kenyan women football team Harambee Starlets qualified for the CECAFA Women's Championship that was hosted by Rwanda in July last year. Let it be known that the Starlets are taking Kenyan women football to greater heights after again managing to be selected to participate in another major tournament in the same year, the African Women's Cup of Nations. The Starlets, who are currently ranked at position 133 by FIFA, jumped 3 positions up from position 136. And despite the fans not showing up in large numbers to support the Starlets in their games, the Starlets still have a zeal to take Kenyan football to another level. The women's football team is, however, marred by so many challenges, lack of sponsorship being one of them. These players also lack enough pay and they are forced to seek employment elsewhere so as to make ends meet. This means that they are not full-time players and in turn also affects performance since there is no motivating factor in place to push their players to give their best. I went further ahead on this research and managed to speak to Barry Otieno, who is an official at the Football Kenya Federation, and this is what he had to say regarding the Harambee Starlets.
First of all, to say that FKF is a political office, so this current administration was elected in 2016, and when we came to office, there were no structures in regard to women football. So the first thing that we embarked on was to re-establish the Women League that had been defunct for the last 5 years. Last time it was played was in 2010. That was not enough because, again, there has been a big gap between the women and the men's game in Kenya. So at the moment, apart from re-establishing the league, then the federation ensured that the girls in particular are given a chance to play. So what did we do? We introduced a grant for all teams playing in the WPL and the Women Division 1 to ensure then that teams can move, teams can take care of their logistics. So when we say logistics, basically transport and accommodation. In addition to that, all WPL and all Division 1 teams, the federation takes care of match day costs on, I'm speaking issues like security, issues like hire of venue, ambulance, and paying of match officials. Further to that is that 37% of the amount of money we get from FIFA then goes into women development. You compare that to the women, to the men's football that has really developed, is that the federation does not, for example, pay for match day logistics costs. We do not give teams in the NSL any form of grant, and then a lot has gone into the Women League. Apart from the Women League, we also realized that there was a gap in terms of women who hold levels of maybe at the administration level and leadership level in football. So what we have done is, under the FIFA grassroots pilot project, we are aiming to double the number of women who have been involved in the game. At the moment, we have courses ongoing in Meru, Kisumu, Mombasa, and Nairobi just concluded, with a view one of capacity building to ensure that we have a lot of women coaches, we have women referees. After that, which is phase one, we'll go into the phase two, which will be a requirement for those who have been trained to go out there and form teams. And then the federation will help them in terms of ensuring that they get equipment, the right equipment, they get the necessary support, then to ensure that we have a national U13, U15 women team. All this in an effort to ensure that there is equality in the game. At the national level, again, is that Harambee Starlets, which is the national team, is treated equally as the male counterpart. When we came into office, this was not the case. These ladies used to sleep in the dressing rooms. Now, the same allowances that is given to the men is the same that is given to the women. We try to keep them in the same way. So Harambee Starlets got 11 members of the technical bench. The same applies to women.
Reporting for News Insight, I'm Theresa Mwawanga. Good morning to our viewers in Kenya and all over the world. My name is Theresa Mwawanga and this is the News Insight, where we give you an incisive look and in-depth analysis in sports, not leaving behind the fields of health and business. And our focus in sports today, we are going to look at the long-awaited 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. The 2019 Africa Cup of Nations 32nd tournament is scheduled to happen in Egypt as from June 21st to July 19th, 2019, as organized by the Confederation of African Football. The International Men's Championship will have 24 teams participating in it, and this will mark the first Africa Cup of Nations expanded from initially 16 to 24 teams. The tournament was initially to be hosted in Cameroon, which was the title bearer after winning the previous edition. However, this decision was revoked by the Confederation of African Football executive following Cameroon's poor infrastructure, Boko Haram insurgency, and the Anglophone crisis. Our reporter Charlotte Idah has more news on this.
Yes, Teresa, as you have mentioned, the change of venue as well as original dates of 15th June to 13th July to current set dates of 21st June to the 19th of July for the Africa Cup of Nations was set on the 8th of January 2019 by the Confederation of Africa Football Executive. 6 stadiums in the hot cities in Egypt will be used for the football competition. Among the 3 matches Kenya is set to participate in, and the Kenyan football fans are eagerly waiting for the match against Senegal, bearing in mind Senegal has a great player in their national team. Sadio Mane, who plays as a winger in Liverpool FC. However, Team Kenya still has hope in emerging victorious despite being given a team that has such a stronghold from a top international football club, Liverpool FC. Reporting for News Insight, I am Charlotte Idah.
Sports stories bring us to the end of today's bulletin. For more news, do join us at News Insight at 1 p.m. My name is Muia. Do have a lovely morning.